All right, so I want to talk about Steph Curry for a second. Maybe you've heard of him. Steph Curry, certainly there's an argument to be made. He is the MVP. There's certainly an argument to be made. I would give it to Chris Paul, but just because I do think the regular season matters, and the Suns have had a glorious regular season. And the Suns' history has been, in 11 years before this, a mess. But every little boy and little girl, and I count myself on this at one point when I was about 6, 7 years old, I had a little hoop down the driveway. Every little boy and girl who picks up a basketball, the first thing they want to do is put the ball in the hoop. They don't work on their ball handling. They don't get into a defensive position. It's not about passing the ball to your neighbor. You grab the ball and you shoot it. That's what you want to do, right? You want to hear the swish. All the best basketball players in the world, the top 50, they're all scorers. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of a basketball in the history of the world. That act of grabbing and shooting a ball, he's the best ever in the history of the world. If he played Michael Jordan in horse, he would have Horse, and Michael would be putting on his second sock. The greatest player couldn't compete with him. He's the best shooter of all time. We can argue who's better, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. We can argue MJ LeBron. We can argue Ronaldo Messi, Martina Serena, whatever you want to argue. You cannot argue the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. And it's the thing every little boy and girl want to do when they grab it is shoot, put it in the net. He's the best ever. But it's not just that. And I think this stuff is important. I've said for years and years, the thing that's underrated about the NBA is intelligence. Go look at how successful the bad boy Pistons players were after basketball, like GMs and coaches. And they were just, those guys were just fighters. No, there was several of them that became coaches and general managers or broadcasters. The Miami Heat, in my opinion, that championship team with LeBron, Wade, Bosh, Battier, was the smartest basketball team I've ever seen. But if you look at Shaq and Kobe's careers post-basketball, I mean, Kobe's winning an Oscar. Shaq is Mr. Business. That being smart and self-awareness and the ability to adapt and play with others is really not a nuance. It's really, really important. In the NBA, now we don't even want players going to college. Go to the G League for an hour, go play. That means players are younger. We're inserting 19-year-old kids from all over the world into the league. They cannot drink at the hotels they stay at. They can't go to the bar in the Ritz-Carlton they stay at. They're kids. In the NFL, you play 3 years minimum. You often redshirt. God, you watch the draft. Some of these guys went to college for 5 years. They're 23 years old. They're married by the time they get to the NFL. They've gone to college. They've dealt with classes, other kids, genders, races, religions. It's a whole different world. But basketball, you're good. You're in the league. Go. So there's a lot of dysfunction. A lot of kids are emotionally overwhelmed. And here is Steph Curry, 2-2-2, 2 MVPs, 2 titles, 2 scoring championships. Only Wilt and Kareem and MJ can say that. But I think what makes Steph Curry, beyond being the best shooter in the history of basketball, and I would argue, certainly arguable, the best ball handler, is that with all the stuff this year that's gone on, the franchise is sort of an injury, transient, underwhelming, uneven mess, and he got him into the playoffs. Now think of how good Bradley Beal and Westbrook are. They'll both make the Hall of Fame. In the East, we're not sure. They have play-in games. They may not make the playoffs. In the East, Steph has a chance to get these Warriors in the West, and it has been, they are the smallest team. Their top draft pick got hurt. Klay Thompson got hurt. Kevin Durant left a couple years ago. It's his ability to function without drama in a league that is a fire hose nonstop of dysfunction and drama and kids asking to play a man's game. And here's Steph Curry, this Warriors season. Think about this. When Steph Curry played this year, the Warriors were a top 10 offense. When Steph Curry was not on the floor this year, it was the worst NBA offense in 5 years. What? Maturity, self-awareness, intelligence. Maybe we should credit his father. He grew up around NBA games. But Golden State has been a noisy operation. Some of it their fault, some not for the last 2 years. And here they are, with a chance to do something in the postseason in the Western Conference. And it comes down to this guy. He can't win without KD. Already has. Can't win without Clay. Boom. He won't win the MVP. Certainly you could vote him in. It wouldn't be embarrassing. LeBron said yesterday, that's the guy. Look what he's dealt with. But I marvel at his story, his maturity, his self-awareness. For all the doubters, and for some weird reason, there's been a lot of them. This year is as great a year as Steph Curry has ever had. They're simply not functional enough and not talented enough to do anything in the postseason. But the fact they have a puncher's chance speaks volumes of Steph Curry. So the NBA playoffs are everything now is a playoff game. The play-in games, there's they do this in baseball, those wild card, those quick one-in games, play-in games. So it's playoff stuff. We'll break it all down coming up. Cyber criminals target job seekers looking for new employment. They are crafty with fake job postings designed to trick people into revealing their personal info and social security numbers. With this info, cyber criminals can access your credit cards, bank accounts, even open a loan in your name. Be sure to carefully research job postings and protect your information from fraudulent job postings. Every day, people put info at risk on the internet. Cyber criminal could take what's yours, harm your finances, your reputation, your credit. That's where LifeLock comes in. Okay, they help detect a wide range of threats, like your social